Welcome back, everybody. This is your host, Christopher Rennie, bringing you another edition of the namesake show, the Chris Rennie Show. We're getting into everything today: football, college football, baseball, and more. We're going to talk about the World Series, most importantly, how the Dodgers have seized control, how a certain star has repaired his image, and how so many of the Dodger faithful cannot hold their breath any deeper because it's 3-2. It's not over yet. Next on the list, we're going to talk about that great quarterback duel. I'm going to talk about the modernization of the quarterback position a little bit, get a little bit more on a macro level. And honestly, the game itself was just spectacular. Then we're going to get into Graham Mertz, the first of his kind. We all know the story. I'm going to talk about his situation. And then an NFL whip around, and we're going to wrap it up after that with a little segment I like to call Chris R's Sage Advice. Before the show starts, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Chris Rennie CFB. We talk about all sports, but it says CFB because that's the sport I like the most. And I lost my original username. So, that's why. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast, rate the show, Ohio State won, so that means you got to give me 5 stars. I can't do this anymore. What's this guy saying? Who gave these national radio hosts these jobs? Jeez. Can't even understand that guy. What's he even talking about? I can't take it anymore. Those national media personalities making you feel like that. Make a change. Listen to this idiot about the sports that matter from the opinion that matters. Haha, you said it, not me. Now for today's takes from the most opinionated host in sports talk. So, as football has come back, I and the Indians have lost. I have sort of fallen off on my baseball viewership a little bit. As an elite level sports fan, I apologize. But I watched a little bit of both the last 2 games, most notably the end of Game 4, and I've rewatched the end of Game 4 about 100 times. Last time we talked was before the weekend. I didn't make any predictions. I'm not putting that kiss of death on anybody. We're in a cold streak right now, so it really takes a great baseball team to win the World Series. I don't think that could go undermined anymore. I think when I say that, it is like, well, no shit, dude. Like, we're going to talk about the best team in baseball when the World Series is over. And I think when you look at the rosters, I think both teams are very deserving of that title. They've done it different ways, as we talked about, Moneyball versus big spending ball. It's just the truth of the matter. But the one story that I took away the most, and this was in Game 5, Clayton Kershaw, he's had the reputation, eventually something had to give, right? Year in and year out, Clayton Kershaw, playoff disappointments, it kind of sucked the energy out of the team. He's your ace, he's supposed to go out there and get you a win, and, in the past, the Dodgers were playing really good baseball teams as well. I think when your best player and your most important leader on the team performs to that level, it has a morality effect that is contagious, Kershaw went 5 2/3 last night. A lot of the fans were booing. 85 pitches, this is sort of when historically he started falling off, was when he got into that 90 pitch range. You started seeing him walk, and then the bullpen would come in and let all those runs go by. And that was it. There was no long rest for Kershaw this game. I thought it was a little bit more even than the first one. But in his 2 games in the World Series, Kershaw has been elite. You hear me? Elite. He was good. He's not the same dominant, big curveball, hard fastball pitcher he was of yesteryear. But that doesn't mean Kershaw doesn't have nasty stuff. I wouldn't say, I'd say Kershaw's probably the 3rd best pitcher on the staff right now, but there's 2 things that go into being an ace. That mystique you have when you go onto the mound. What does the other team think of you? And for a generation of younger players that sort of take on the Rays roster, they've watched Kershaw dominate 162 games of the year. But when he got to the playoffs, playoff Kershaw isn't some guy who got better. He's not playoff Rondo, who exponentially explodes into an elite all-time player at his position. No, Kershaw did the opposite. He fell apart. He shook. And, the team followed. So my biggest takeaway so far through the World Series is the Dodgers are just doing what their number 1 leader has set the example of doing. That is timely hits, that is big-time plays, and that is winning the games that are in front of you. All right, it's 3-2. I'm not going to lock in any picks here. I think it's going to be a great series. I think when you look at the 2 teams, they've shown to be very even. Blake Snell's pitching tonight or tomorrow, I can't remember. But Blake Snell's pitching. Blake Snell's been pretty elite in the playoffs as well. Going up against an opener, the Rays are 4-1 against an opener, so it's going to be a very interesting approach to this game. And then in Game 7, you're going to have Walker Buehler, the Dodgers' best pitcher, going to put this away if there is a Game 7. So I thought the bullpen for the Dodgers last night as well finally showed up. They didn't allow any sort of shenanigans to happen under their watch. That's exactly what we want. I mean, that's what a bullpen's there for, to save the game. That's why they invented the stat to save. It's because it's their job. And they did for the start. And in the past, when Kershaw needed them to get him out of jams after he came out, they had failed. And this is just sort of started, and the stars are starting to align a little bit. But you can never count out a young and hungry team that's not scared of anybody. Ozarena got out for the first time, it felt like, in the entire postseason. That was real. And the one, I hated this post-game press conference. This is one of the worst post-game press conferences in sports history. Kevin Cash, I think in a time where you could really get your team back excited, he really took it the wrong direction. I don't think he kind of came off to me as very arrogant, very off base. He was low-key a douche. All right, we're just going to say it. His post-game presser pretty much stated that we got to stop giving up runs early and falling behind. All right. We got to score more runs. Pretty much, and the way he said it wasn't like he was joking or it was sarcastic. He was like, I can't play for these guys. Like, I'm doing everything I can as a manager. And that is not going to be a recipe for success or long-term commitment from the guys you're managing. So I think Kevin Cash took a terrible route in his post-game interview. We've seen coaches do this before. We've seen managers take this approach before, and usually it's the start of an eruption of nuclear catastrophic levels. And I think we can see that coming with Kevin Cash if this series falls apart and they move forward in the future. Oh, that's the World Series. 2 more games. I'll probably watch tonight. We're going to love. We are going to continue to watch and monitor this series because it's the World Series. I love baseball, but football's back, and your boy is a football guy. I had a chance yesterday at the fantasy football trifecta. It did not happen. All right, the guy I played, he has that sort of roster where when you look at it, you're like, how in the world were we stupid enough to let this guy get this team? Every fantasy league has that, and they're usually the best team of the year. He's been annihilating people. He's got Russell Wilson. He's got Tyler Lockett, who had 200 yards last night. He had DeAndre Hopkins, Kareem Hunt, that pick at first seems like an okay pick. We'll see. But it ended up being a really good pick. All right, and the fantasy gods broke in his direction during that draft, and I got the worst of it. He scored 170 points on me. In a league where 150 is usually the max around in the league. Big football guy. We'll be watching baseball throughout the week. I don't think the Monday night game is good this week. So we will see. Oh, yeah, Bears-Rams Monday night matchup. Yeah, not for me. So next on the docket, big football guy once again, Kyler Murray and Russell Wilson. All right, so do you guys want to hear me get into my long opinion on the modern quarterback, or you just want me to review the epicness that was the game because of the two modern elite quarterbacks? All right, we'll get into the actual game here first. So outside of my fantasy football game absolutely just falling apart and turning into a massacre, it's not even like I had a bad week. God, that's the worst part. I didn't even have a bad week. All right, so the Seahawks, they're one of my favorite teams in football. Got a good old childhood friend playing for them. Loved Russell Wilson since he was at Wisconsin. I think he's one of those spectacular quarterbacks who were so good they literally changed the way we view quarterbacks. He throws the most sensational deep ball, all right, and it is truly magnificent to watch him just launch that thing up into the air. It's like he's throwing a freaking javelin, and it's just soaring through the air, and it always drops into the basket perfectly. And I hadn't seen a quarterback with that level of ability on a deep ball until I saw the guy across from him on the Arizona Cardinals. Who else throws a very high and very effective and very pretty deep ball is Kyler Murray. They're two shorter guys. They get a lot of their momentum through the ground, up and through their hips, and get that ball soaring through the air. And, this game was never going to be a low scoring. All right, when I was up 50 in fantasy, I should have known that it was going to get throttled. All right. It started, nice drive, Russell Wilson. He does what he does. He just leads drives, scoring drives. It was a really well-planned offensive game by the Seahawks, and that really showed through most of the first half. Then you got the Cardinals. They got going after Kyler Murray. They kind of did that trick play. If you noticed, everybody looked towards the sideline the opposite way, and then DeAndre Hopkins was alone on an island. They quick snapped the ball. Kyler Murray did a great job being an athlete. No look, caught it. And then, boom, just delivered a ball. No laces. Didn't need them. And just delivered, to one of the best receivers that's ever played the game. Zane Gonzalez, extra point. Good. All right, so now, the game's good. All right. And it's pretty much still in favor. Russell Wilson hit Tyler Lockett on another bomb. Hurt my soul. But it was a magnificent throw. So Tyler Lockett had a day. Looked like he just knew everything to do right. And then, everyone's like, oh, shoot, this game's over. There's only like 3 minutes left to go in the game. All right. Kyler Murray scored on that crazy run, juked out all those people. And then with minute to go, he leads a scoring drive. A 44-yard field goal by Gonzalez, former Brown, by the way, Brownstown. Zane Gonzalez then, after a crazy Russell Wilson interception, hits a game-winning field goal. So, realistically, this game was exactly what you want on Sunday night. It was high, it was explosive. The fantasy gods did not answer my prayers, but from an entertainment standpoint, this is why the NFL is so great. I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't any defensive stops. There were. The biggest one came after we saw the most freakishly athletic thing ever. Okay, so Bubba Bolden, very athletic guy. He ran a 4.45 at the combine, all right? You all saw DK Metcalf chase him down, right? Like, he started 10, 15 yards behind Bubba Bolden when that ball was picked off, and he hunted him down. And I don't think, honestly, Bubba Bolden's not the smallest dude. He's like a 6 foot, 200, 205 guy. But DK Metcalf looked so big running him down. I didn't even realize that was a wide receiver when he started to run. I was like, holy crap, who's this dude chasing this guy down? And it was DK Metcalf. I realized it, obviously, when the announcer's like, look at DK Metcalf. And then I did, and I was like, holy crap, that's that tight end looking dude who outran Russell Wilson. And Russell Wilson saw him, and he's like, God, I'm going to stop running because he's going to make me look really slow, and they might not call me a dual-threat quarterback anymore. And he caught him, and then the defense made a huge stop. And that's defense in the NFL now. It's timely stops. It's winning 50% of the time, and open your offense wins 60% of the time. Last night, the Seahawks' offense did not. But DK Metcalf, I got player of a game for a play like that. On special teams, I caught a guy from behind. Surprise, surprise. What? All right, yes, I had some wheels. I had some jets. It was mostly just the guy slowed down, and then I should have punched the ball out. That's the only place I missed on that. But, yeah, back to the guys who were still playing. DK Metcalf, that's the type of play that you can't teach. It's a culture play. And it's why the Seahawks will bounce back and continue to be successful. There's two more big storylines. Number one, Cliff Kingsbury here. I mean, dude's 5-2. I don't think he ever had this high of a win percentage in his time at Texas Tech. He was not a very good college coach. I don't really care how you slice it. Yes, there are some disadvantages in Lubbock, but people have proven that they can win there. And Cliff Kingsbury had Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback in the history of playing the sport, talent-wise, and he never did better than 9 wins. So he gets to the Cardinals. He gets his guy, Kyler Murray. So there's actually a very long relationship here. Kyler Murray was recruited to Texas A&M. Cliff Kingsbury was there. Cliff Kingsbury got another job, took it, and then ended up at Texas A&M. Where he got Patty Mahomes, who was an underrated recruit because everyone thought he was going to play baseball. So he's worked with two of the most elite quarterbacks in the game today. And you got to give him credit. Number one is eye for talent, and the people they were recruiting, good as gold. All right. And in the NFL, the most important identifying factor is being able to notice and find quarterbacks. And Cliff Kingsbury's done a fantastic job of that in his college career and in the NFL now. And the strengths of Kyler Murray are being utilized. He's a legitimate freak athlete. He's super quick. Would be an unbelievable slot receiver if he didn't have a cannon strapped to his little shoulders. And Cliff Kingsbury has really unlocked the keys to this Cardinals offense. It does help when you have a guy like DeAndre Hopkins, and it is really showing to be that worst trade deal in the history of trade deals. So, for the Texans. But there's a bigger story here. All right, so both of those quarterbacks, all right, neither of them are above 5'11". I think Russell Wilson's 5'11". I think Kyler Murray's like 5'8". And I think that's being generous. I know sometimes it says 5'9" when he gets measured in, but he's not a tall guy. All right, and you can see it very apparent when he's on the field. But he plays very big, and you know that's sort of what they do. And you know when you look at guys that have been undersized coming into the league, it's way less of a conversation now. There is almost no conversation if the guy can play football. Kyler Murray's size did raise some concerns for me. Mostly because of his durability. But the dude is so natural at getting down and avoiding contact. I don't really think that something that's going to be a cause for concern in the long term. I think when you look at bigger quarterbacks who play a physical brand of football, it's a lot more concerning for them. But Kyler is the new breed. All right, you see it with all these guys. They're starting to. You can't play quarterback if you don't really have the ability to run anymore. The day of the quarterback just standing in the pocket, still being a stick, staying there, is over. You saw it sort of starting with guys like Brett Favre. I mean, even Fran Tarkenton liked to get out of the pocket a little bit. But Brett Favre was a guy who sort of broke the play down himself and let it fly. Michael Vick was in that same category. And, those two guys, different level of athletes. Tony Romo was a guy like that. Guys like Michael Vick, when they broke out of the pocket, it was legs first. Now, these guys with these cannon arms, the Patrick Mahomes, the Kyler Murrays, the Russell Wilsons, one of the first of his name, they look downfield, and one of the greatest times to attack when you're on an offense is when the defense is out of position. When the quarterback breaks the pocket, it creates out of position defenders and all that stuff where you're like, oh, we got to pass it off here. If we see an over, we got to give it up there. All that goes out the window. When Russell Wilson rolls left, he can throw the ball 45 yards down the field still. Like, that is very much in the realm of possibility. You've got older guys. Aaron Rodgers is probably the oldest left of that last generation. He was one of the first who are just these guys who get out and are accurate, deliver the football. You see Matthew Stafford doing it. You see Ryan Tannehill doing it. You see almost all 28 quarterbacks, 28 of the 32 quarterbacks are guys who can get out of the pocket a little bit and run. The only ones you can't, you can count on one hand. You got Jared Goff, you got Tom Brady, and you've got, I just had his name. Kyle Allen can't. There's quite a few who cannot get out and run just a little bit. Jimmy G's in that sort of group. Even Baker gets after a little bit running the ball. So it's really this is where the game is going. The modern quarterback is a guy who's not only able to throw the ball, and quarterbacks are able to throw the ball further than ever. Look at Justin Herbert coming in. He just has, he's throwing the ball like it's nobody's business. You look at Josh Allen throwing the ball like nobody's business. Patrick Mahomes throwing it like it's nobody's business. Throughout history, you'd be fortunate enough to have one of those arm talents in the league. Now there's 5, 6 guys who have legitimate elite arm talent. You got Russell Wilson, Aaron Rodgers. You've got so many names who can just let that thing fly. And that is where quarterbacks are going. You're going to have to be able to move a little bit in the NFL. It's just the way it is. There's no more, I can take 5-step drops and look at it. Look at the quarterbacks who struggle at times. It's Jimmy Garoppolo. It's Jared Goff. It's Matt Ryan. Even Tom Brady. When you force him to make decisions because he has to, not because he wants to, you can make one of the greatest to ever do it struggle. But these guys who can get out and run and still deliver the ball accurately and throw far are the future of the game. That is the truth. And you can't argue any different than me. Here, we're all seeing it. So next on the list, this one's a big, big story. And this one's going to have big ramifications on college football. That's why I'm bringing it over to this show. I'll be talking about it tomorrow, too, because we're going to be getting the confirmation here. And when it's breaking news, it doesn't matter if I'm talking Ohio State football or not. This is a guy, Graham Mertz. If you don't know him, he was the Army All-American Game MVP when he was there. He was unbelievable in his debut. And unfortunately, with the Big Ten testing protocols, he is almost possibly set to miss 3 weeks of time. And in a season where there's only 9 games, and 3 of them, there's no bye week, so you're not going to get lucky. And it's a tough situation. So Mertz will take a polymerase chain reaction test, not a medical person, so I don't really know how to read these words, to confirm the results. If confirmed, Mertz would have to miss a minimum of 21 days according to the Big Ten's protocols for athletes who test positive. Thank you, Adam Rittenberger, ESPN senior writer, for that information. We've known since Big Ten footballs came back that this could possibly happen. I understand. I had very big issues with it when it came out. I know a lot of people are getting up in arms yesterday, and I don't think it's the first time a lot of people got up in arms. So don't be the guy walking around being like, oh, we already knew about this, because yes, we all knew about it. But now it's tangibly affecting the game in front of us, and we might lose one of the best quarterbacks in the conference of the Big Ten for 3 weeks, man. That when you look at Wisconsin's football schedule, it's not easy. It's Nebraska next. Nebraska's a decent football team. They can beat Wisconsin. Purdue beat Iowa, and I don't know how good Iowa is. And then their biggest cross-division matchup against Michigan is on the docket. Like, that's real. If they miss those games, that could easily switch this team from a 4-0 squad, which was very much my early predictions for them, to a 1-3 team, and all because of one positive test. Now, the test that is more accurate, we're awaiting the results for. That news is probably going to come out today. I don't know. I think it takes 24 to 48 hours to get that response back. Not a doctor. Once again, don't listen to me for this level of advice here. If this test confirms it, 21 days, no chance to get back on the field. He's going to be locked up, most likely going to be asymptomatic, have no effects, and you're going to look to the south and see coaches and players coming back after 3 consecutive positives. That isn't cool, man. That isn't what it should be. I think even if it was 14 days, missing 2 games is different. But missing 3 games, 21 days, that's 3 weeks of football. That's not cool. I don't think that's the way it should be. I think the point of having daily testing is to monitor your athletes daily, all right? What's the point of having daily testing if you're going to throw them in quarantine for 21 days, even if you have daily testing? That's what I'm sort of lost at here. And especially if it's a false positive, because those do happen apparently. Once again, not a doctor. Don't just be using this for your conspiracy theories. I'm just putting out information I have heard from medical professionals. If there's no MD after the name, I'm not citing it, because that's just, you learn that in school. Don't cite bad resources. And Nick Saban, I think you should be tested daily after X amount. It could be 5. You can test daily 5 times and not be around the team, and then boom, 5 negatives. That's 1 week. All right. 1 week, I think most football teams can survive. I think you could create a game plan for your backup quarterback that gets the job done. I think you could rely on your defense enough just to get it done, and your skill players. Like Ohio State, you got Chris Olave and Garrett Wilson and Jameson Williams. Knock on wood. It's you could survive. Nebraska probably couldn't survive without some of their defensive players. That's just the truth. Wisconsin might not be able to survive with Graham Mertz, and that's why it's unfair. Because if a team, that's true. You can look at this as like a recruiting type of ordeal, but I just don't like this. I don't like the 21 days. Everything else I'm fine with, but the 21 days is a long time. The getting back process it's not great. So it's something we're going to be watching for sure. It's just one of those situations where it's the world we're living in right now. We have no time. I don't know. if Wisconsin, I don't know how Wisconsin's handled the coronavirus pandemic, but I know if Ohio State fans saw like this, they should use this as the biggest evidence to social distance and not even put that virus in the air when you have a chance at a national title. I'm just putting that out there. And I think that's how I don't know. Clemson can get back on the field in a week. Trevor Lawrence, good if you really had to. They could botch some tests, and he could be back playing. Is that a very big no-no in the medical field? Yeah, but it's college football. No one would care. So yeah, that's sort of the big one. That's what we're following right now. This is going to be the first This is going to be the first one in college football, really. The first big one in the Big Ten coming back. The Mountain West has a very similar one. And yes, do we care because it's a quarterback? Absolutely. But this could be an elite left tackle. But, I mean, in college football, if you have an elite quarterback, you win a lot more games. And I don't know who Wisconsin's backup is. Graham Mertz was the backup. It's not like Jack Cohn's going to heal his foot up real quick and just come and be able to start. All right? So it is a tough situation for sure. And you see the way the South's handling it, and it doesn't make it look any easier for us over here. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's get into the NFL whip around now. NFL scores and results and quick takes, because that's how we do it. A little bit of a 2-minute drill, old Berman style. Chris, that is. So yesterday was a very good day for football fans. I mean, this week actually started off pretty well. The Eagles-Giants game, for what the NFC East is, was a very entertaining football game. The Panthers-Saints, I mean, I thought that was a good game. I didn't really watch much of it. I didn't even know the Bills and Jets played yesterday, so there's that. The first game I'm going to talk about, we're going to get into my favorite game of the weekend. The Titans almost did it again. Oh my God. I don't know how the Titans keep living their life so far on the edge here, but they were down at one point like 20-3. Or 23-7. So really, you didn't think there was much of a chance. Again, I don't think most teams have ever come back from that. 27. It was a lot of points, and I was like, oh my God, how are they going to do this? And the Pittsburgh Steelers held on. The Titans did get the ball back with about a minute and 50 left. I was like, holy crap. When I saw that happen, I was like, God, there's too much time. They're going to blow this. And I said, don't trust the kicker here. Gostkowski's been rough this year. Keep trying to go down and score. But they did what they did, and they had the results that they had. But yeah, so the Steelers, I think the Steelers in the first half showed the team that they're very capable of being. Unfortunately, the AFC North is a very good division. They are 6-0, and I used a stat a few weeks ago that the combined record of teams that the Steelers had beaten was like 3-15-1. So it wasn't great, but now you look at this and they just beat the 5-1 Titans. And I know in the second half the Steelers looked like a very awful football team, and they almost let the Tennessee Titans come back. But that's sort of the Titans' MO. The Pittsburgh Steelers, though, they are very good offensively. And SportsCenter showed this stat last night, and this is actually probably not looking good for them, but it showed that like 6 of 8 teams who have started the game season 6-0 by scoring 25 points or more have gone to the Super Bowl and lost. So, Steelers fans, be ready for some heartbreak. Only one team didn't make it out of the wild card round, and it's going to be a rough ending for you guys. But yes, Ben Roethlisberger had a terrible second half, 3 interceptions. It wasn't pretty. They got the job done though, and that's really what it's about. Benny Snell had 2 carries, 2 yards, 1 touchdown. That's the life I want to live. I think when you see a guy like Ryan Tannehill, there's some really good conversations I have about belief in your quarterback and how being in the right situation and circumstances can really elevate you to being the player you believe you can be. And that's with life, honestly. The next on the list, Browns versus the board of the Bengals. All right. Browns are back. I think 5-2 sounds pretty good to me. I don't think they've ever actually had that record in my life. So we're here. I know there's scoregami. There should be recordgami. And they should do that with the 5-2 Browns because I don't think it's ever actually happened. What did we learn that during that game, though? We learned the Browns are still a middling team. We learned that the Bengals are now a middling team. And I think both offensively, I think when you look at the stats, Baker Mayfield had the most elite half I ever thought he'd ever have. When he started 0-5, I was like, oh, God, this is the Baker we know. Baker's back. It's going to suck. There goes the year. There goes the season. People were tweeting out how bad Baker was. And you know what? Baker heard them. Baker heard the calls, the criticisms, and he answered. He went 21 for 22 to end the game. It was one of the most impressive performances down the stretch. 22 for 23, actually, through 21 consecutive completions. His only incompletion down the stretch was a spiked ball. If we could get Baker Mayfield playing 21 straight completions, you know what? You want to hear some quarterbacks who haven't thrown 21 straight completions in a game? All right, I'm going to start with a big one. Tom Brady has never completed a ball 21 consecutive times in a football game. You want to hear another one? Peyton Manning, the sheriff. Never. Brett Favre, you heard of him? Dan Marino. All right, and I got these stats from somewhere else. So if one of those is wrong, go after that guy. All right? Twitter, somewhere. I saw it. Crazy stuff, though. And Baker Mayfield is a guy, and I think when I got to 0-5, this is his biggest problem, is he's rushed. He is a guy who is always moving quickly forward. And you can see him pressing early in the game. And you know what Kevin Stefanski did well, and this is sort of what I really appreciate from Stefanski as a Browns fan, is he took a few plays, gave Baker nice little boot actions, got him passes to his best receiver in Jarvis Landry, got his confidence going, and then he started challenging him a little bit. And Baker Mayfield answered the bell. Some of his throws during those 21 completions were tough. His touchdown to Njoku, it was sensational. His touchdowns to Harrison Bryant, that's honestly looking like the best pick the Browns made in the draft. But this is my last comment on the Browns before, report Odell Beckham Jr. out for a season. That sucks. All right, that's news you never want to hear with any player, let alone one that's on your favorite team. All right, well, I guess that got added to the NFL whip around. Odell Beckham Jr. is out for a season. This is breaking news. Holy crap, we're breaking news. First reported by Josina Anderson. But yeah, now Baker Mayfield is going to have to rise a little bit more, be elite. It was great to see guys like Rashard Higgins step up in the absence of Odell Beckham. It was great to see Donovan Peoples-Jones step up in his first real opportunity. And he grew up. Baker Mayfield grew up. That's the best way to put it. And he settled in and he delivered. Yes, it was against the Bengals. I know it's against the Bengals. All right. Now, on the other side, Joe Burrow, dude. That guy is a football player. When you look at his stat line, he deserved to win that football game. 35 for 47, 406 yards, 3 touchdowns. It was a great day. There was not really much running going on. Tyler Boyd had a big day. Not as big as Tyler Lockett, unfortunately. So it was a very big game for Joe Burrow. The Bengals found their guy, and I think the Bengals are very similar to where the Browns were last year, or 2 years ago, I want to say. They're finding themselves as a football team. They've had some injuries on the offensive line, all that stuff. And it was a tough game for Burrow from a physical standpoint. Obviously, Myles Garrett's getting after him. Myles Garrett had a phenomenal day, but he answered every time. And this is like the first time since Boomer Esiason and Bernie Kosar were the quarterbacks of these two franchises that this was an exciting come down to the wire game in my eyes, where it felt like this game meant something. This game meant to the Bengals, like, this is it. This is our chance to play and prove that we can beat a good football team. And the Browns being that good football team alone was enough to make this game exciting for me. Now the Browns are 5-2. The Bengals are 5-1. Bengals can turn it around. I will look at their schedule real quick. It is not the toughest. All right. So they got the Titans and Steelers. All right. 1-7-1 sounds pretty bad. But after that, all right, they're kind of rewarded here for that. They go Bengals versus the football team. You got the Giants, terrible. So they get to play 3 games against the NFC East. 4-7-1 doesn't sound too bad. The Dolphins, that's a toss-up. Absolutely. I think with Joe Burrow at quarterback, that's a toss-up. Then you've got the Cowboys, the worst team in football. And then you've got the Steelers again, probably a loss. There's 8 losses. Then you got the Texans, 50-50 game there. I'm calling it. That could be 7 wins. And then you're going to lose to the Ravens. So 7-8-1 is not out of the realm of possibility for this Bengals team. I don't want to give up too much hope, but if they do it, I need at least season tickets for my friends. That's what we're talking about here. But yeah, it absolutely is a possibility. Both teams have proven that there is a future that is positive ahead for them. The last team I'm going to talk about today is the Dallas Cowboys. It's embarrassing. It's embarrassing what Jerry Jones has decided was good enough to put out on the field. I know Dak got hurt. But this comes back. We talked about it last week. I talked about it Thursday. This is all culture. This all starts from the top. Jerry Jones has to be his little hands-on, manipulative, billionaire Texas owner with his cool accent, and he's destroyed this franchise. The thing he worked so hard to build. It's destroyed. No question about it. It's sad. The Cowboys are great. They're great for the sport. When they are good, we have someone to hate. And when they are bad, we have someone to laugh at. But I'd rather have someone to hate. And I'd rather have someone to be like, they're not that good. They're not. But instead we get this pitiful team. 3 points against the Washington football team. Now, granted, their defense is okay. But you gave up 25 points to an offense that's absolutely anemic. Are you serious, Mike McCarthy, dude? Like, quit it, dude. Like, oh, man, I'm getting all California with this one. I'm upset. Bro, Mike McCarthy, Jerry Jones, figure it out. Fire him. Eat your losses. Make Kellen Moore the head coach. Watch the offense thrive. Just make sure Dak comes back healthy. You guys are going to be competing for Trevor Lawrence. What you should do, all right, now hear me out, Cowboys. Trade the pick. Don't take the quarterback. I know Jerry Jones is going to be all enamored by the Christian boy from the South. There's no questions about it. But take the draft picks. Allow the football professionals to make the decisions. And stay away from your football team. It's awful. It's horrible to watch. All right, so actually I got 2 more to talk about. I just realized this. All right, so we got, I just checked the show notes. We got 2 more to talk about here. The 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo beat down the Patriots. He did that for Tom. Absolutely, you know it. And then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers dominated the Raiders. So 45-20, 33-6. The Patriots got destroyed. So Cam Newton, I mean, he struggled to throw the football yesterday. I think missing that week of practice kind of probably messed up his arm a little bit. You lost a little bit of that conditioning, all that stuff. You can only do so much live action with your arm that can replicate that. And that's sort of that trouble. I think there's a lot more problems in New England than just their quarterback. I think Tom Brady, that team's built for Tom Brady. His quick decision-making, his ability to get the ball out, but even last year we saw that team wasn't good enough to win with the guy it was built for. So you're going to bring in some random dude with a completely different skill set in Cam Newton and hope that it works. All right, Josh McDaniels, good luck. At first we were all like, oh my God, they could finally do stuff they never did. It sucked, and we were scared that the Patriots dynasty wasn't going to end. But now we're not. They are terrible. They are awful right now. And they'll probably bounce back. I'm not worried about a Bill Belichick team. I think they're going to be competitive. I think the Bills are showing that they have weaknesses still. The AFC is still wide open. We can't count out Bill Belichick, absolutely not. But I think what Tom has proven is that more than it wasn't, he deserves a lot of credit for the success. And, the system QB arguments, he's in a different system now. He still looks very good. He threw a deep ball last night to Scotty Miller that just dropped in, and it was the best throw I've seen him make in like 5 years. His sort of Gronk. I remember, so watching the end of that game, Tom Brady took his helmet off, and he looks younger than he did when he was in New England. He looks fresher. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe he went full plant-based finally. I don't know. But if I could look as good as Tom Brady at 45, that'd be a huge win. All right. But yeah, I think Tom's winning this battle. I really do. We could talk more about this as the season progresses. Just something to keep an eye on. The Patriots versus the Buccaneers. They are. AB to the Buccaneers. I don't like it. But going to add an interesting dynamic to that team. And then the Falcons. How did they do it again? Right, this is the last one, and then I'm going to give my sage advice. The Falcons had the game won. All right, there was about 1:10 left. They got the first down. Todd Gurley broke from the line. All they had to do was get a first down. About 1:50 left. All right. Todd Gurley goes and he gets past the line and he goes to the 1 yard line, and you could tell he realizes that I should not score a touchdown here, and he falls. And guess what? The ball crossed the plane. That was the most unfortunate thing that happened this weekend. And you give Matthew Stafford, one of the best quarterbacks of all time on last-second drives, the ball. And this really changed the season for him. Because 2-5, the Falcons are still technically in play for the NFC South. Now 3-3, the Lions are still technically in play for the playoffs. So there were a lot of opportunities missed here. And one really big opportunity gained. And Matthew Stafford only had one touchdown pass yesterday, but it was a dart to Hawkinson to win the game. And then, so I just don't know how the Falcons get so unlucky. You had the Dallas come back, you had this, you have so many just negatives back and forth. It's been a tough watch. Yeah, but now to my final sage advice. It's about gambling and betting. All right, so the term is chasing. Don't be a guy who chases. When you lose that initial $10, it's $10. When you make that next bet, it turns into 20, and then 30, and then 40. And then you're hedging your bets on this shitty parlay at the end of the day, and I'm going to tell you, it's probably not going to win. You're not going to make all your money back. That's my sage advice for the day. If the first bet doesn't go well, cut your losses. It's a way you'll save a lot of money. But yeah, that's my advice for the week. Don't chase. Advice number 1: win the first bet, keep going. Lose the first bet, don't chase. Don't chase that money. That's how people bet a live bet with like 15 minutes left and end up losing even more money. Because they were like, "Oh, this is guarantee I'll win my money back." It never works. If you ever use the words guarantee in betting, it's out. Lock of the week, it's out. So that's it for the day. We had a good show today, I think. It was a lot of fun having you guys in here. But yeah, don't forget, subscribe to the podcast, rate the show. I am wearing the Robach and Bird Dogs today. Go buy it. A little ad spot there. Hopefully they give me more free stuff. Just kidding. I just like their product. I thought I'd just let you guys know. And that's it for your boy. Talk to NFL, talk to baseball, talk to sports. That's how you want to start a day. Go Bucks. Go Browns. Roll Tribe. Cleveland sports. So that's me signing out. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at ChrisRennieCFB. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and rate the show if you haven't already. 5 stars. Adios, muchachos.